Okay, so in this video that is not supposed to be a rant, but maybe kinda, we will see. I want to talk about just the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL and kinda destroy all my chances to get a review unit because I was invited to the event, I had my hands-on time with it, but you won't really get a hands-on review from me here. I just want to share my opinion on it, my thoughts, and kinda share my anger with you, but mostly my disappointment, because at first I thought this would be a complete proper rant. But for a rant I would have to be angry, which I'm only maybe about the treatment for the people in Europe, because we pay, I think, noticeably significantly more than in the US. But otherwise, I just have to say I'm disappointed in what I've seen. I did not expect that, and I did not really make a hands-on video on something like that. I will just show a few pics so I can maybe make a few points clearer that I want to talk about, because the thing is just, the way I see it, you pay like at least $300 or euros just as an extra for the amazing camera, which I think will be the best, and I will acknowledge all the good stuff, but I have to get into a few things that I'm a little bit more critical about than I've seen everyone else being, because on the event, when on the presentation it was said that we have a bezel-less full vision display or something like that, I almost broke out in laughter, because here's the actual thing. I was at the event 1 hour before it actually started, and the security was so weak that I just walked past all of them. No one checked me or anything. Walked into the hands-on area. I had like 2 or 3 minutes with each device before they actually noticed that I don't work there, which is kind of funny. So I had my hands-on time before any actual launch streams or anything. But these few minutes with those 2 phones were actually enough to completely upset me, and that's why I went into the whole stream with a little bit of a different thinking than anyone else, because I had my hands-on time with it, and it is not the same. If you have seen it on pictures, I have to say both look worse in reality, and I will show off a few pictures later on, but I just want to get into a few things. First of all, the bezels. Wow! On the XL, when I saw it the first moment, I was shocked that they looked even bigger, even worse than on pictures. And this is no comparison to an V30, even on ELG V30, where I complained they are too big, they are smaller. Even on a, I think, Mix 2, they are smaller. So definitely not compared. And the smaller one, I have to say, they reached a nice level design-wise of about 2014. If I look at those bezels, and the thing is just the price, we have to get down to that, because I think $650, if I'm wrong, I don't really care, and 800 euros in Germany for the small one. For the big one, I think it's $850 and 940 euros. So, like I said, I think you pay like at least 300 just extra for the cam, because the design, if I would just check the specs, at least on the smaller one, 800, no, not really, because at best with the great cam and the Snapdragon 835 and all that, I would say maybe at best 500 euros. But not a dime more, because the problem is the in-hand feel. Both, first of all, are huge for their display size. The smaller one is actually quite compact in hand, which is fine, and both have this little bit of a coating that I'm not quite so sure if it's that good of an idea, because it's an aluminum unibody design, which is nice, but it has this coating which is super grippy and gives you a really nice in-hand feel, but it takes away of all the premium feel of this phone. This is the issue for me on both, because both feel like actually not really cheap, but definitely way off of a premium phone. And that's why I don't really know what else to say, because they felt like half of what they cost, and I just can't justify that kind of money that you have to pay for it. It's just not okay. And yeah, I know, I emphasize way too much on the design. But the thing is, I tweeted a little bit and said you pay so much more for the camera, and there was a retweet or a reply who said, we already have a lot of great cameras, and at some point we should stop, because you get an S7 camera, which is also still great, but costs maybe a third or a fourth, maybe half of what either one costs. And this is just true. Yes, the camera will be, I think actually from what I've seen on the first sample store, will be the best. It might very well be. But is that justifiable? Because, okay, let's actually go into it. This is the Pixel 2, the regular one. As you can see, those bezels and the chin and bottom, I think that's just way, and I'm not even going into the button placement because I've already said that I think it's way too high on the same height as the fingerprint reader. As you can see here, in my opinion, just makes no sense. And then we have these bezels, and I don't know, like I said, in reality they look even worse, especially if you consider that this is just a 5-inch phone and you have pretty much, I think in 2017, at least of all the flagships, pretty much the worst screen to body, the body to aspect ratio, yeah, screen to body, because I don't know. I simply don't know what else to say. And the camera sticks out. Okay, not a problem with that. And the design otherwise is fine. Like I said, the coating, especially on the small one, feels good. And I would actually say this is the one phone where no one really would need a case because it's so grippy. And I think it will actually make it a little bit more sturdy because it's kind of like soft touch, but very grippy. And really, it feels great in the hand. But it feels more like it should be a 5.2-inch display in it and not just a 5-inch or so. That's just something I can't get past. Display, just 1080p, but at least it's OLED, so if they make it a good quality, it should be fine. Stereo speakers, absolutely top. I couldn't really get a chance to hear them, but I think they will be very good. Now, here's my bigger issue with the bigger one, the XL. Look at those bezels. And you have to still consider the wide part to be a part of the phone, so which makes the phone even wider. And I look at those bezels. I mean, I complained about the V30 and the Mix 2 having big bezels, but this is even bigger. And I don't know. Top and bottom, fine. That's totally okay. And if you look at the rest, I don't have a problem with the orange button. Some found it weird. I definitely didn't. Button placement, once again, even worse on the bigger one, since even higher, which makes no sense. Why is the button higher? Just because the phone is bigger. The hands of the person don't change. Fingerprint reader, they say they have the fastest one on the market. I highly doubt that they will reach the level of Huawei. But yeah, we will see. Display was nice. But yeah, this is pretty much all it, as you can see here. I don't really want to go much into that because you can see much more of that phone somewhere else. I made a video also, but that's super not necessary to be seen. But the thing is, if I see those pictures and I just can't get past the point that for this money, this design is just not okay in 2017. This design would have been fine in 2014. And let me actually get into what I would like to give you already of a summary, even though I have not reviewed it already. And I kind of doubt it will happen. But let's get into my categories that I usually do. Build. Yes, I will give it a very good, maybe because not quite a great, just because it doesn't feel premium enough in my opinion. Also, the volume rocker did wiggle just a little bit, but that's fine. You could maybe give it a great because it actually could be very, very well built, but it just doesn't feel like that, and that's part of the build quality, at least for me, because the in-hand feel, like I said, is good. It just feels too big. That's the issue. The bezels are too big. The buttons are placed, in my opinion, just wrong. The fingerprint reader seemed good on the small one. On the big one, I think a little bit too high. I can't really remember that well. But there is nothing exciting. There is nothing great about the design that makes me want it. There is nothing that makes it feel anything like that what it costs. Maybe half of it at best. So, like I said, this is my main gripe. If you don't care about the design, if you don't care about the size, let's forget that and talk about the other things. Now, on the small one, we have a 1080p AMOLED display. It looked absolutely nice. It wasn't the very brightest one. The one on the XL looked better. But what I also have to actually complain about, if you release a press, or if you give me a sheet with the 8 best features to talk about the XL, you should include things that you didn't. Because I have nowhere on that event found specs, the sizes, I mean the dimensions of the phone or the battery size. And when I asked actually the guy that should have known everything, not even he knew how bright the display is or the measurements of how can this be? Because yeah, there are other brands like Apple, for example, which they kind of seem to copy in some way by now, and they also don't really kind of mention these things. But if you give me a spec sheet with all the things that I should talk about, like camera and all that, give me that as well, because I'm a geek. I need to know numbers. I need to compare it with anything. And it kind of tries like you would try to hide something, because no one ever mentioned the battery sizes and so on. And if they are even actually like what we have seen on the rumors, like 2700 on the small one and 35 on the big one, it's fine. But yeah, that's just something we have to talk about. Now the display, 1080p OLED, like I said, it looks good. It looks fine. Not €800 fine. It looks more like because you can get a display of that quality, not maybe AMOLED, but for 300, 350, 400. You don't need to pay more. On an Xn, actually, for that price, different size, of course, you can get already a way better screen. Now, the XL, OLED, Quad HD, top. It looked nice, but it didn't look spectacular, because if you'd ask me, something like on the Nokia 8, which is IPS, but also quality, looks just as fine, because it did not stand out in anything. It did not have this impressive look of a Note 8, even though that doesn't have to be. It was fully satisfying. That's totally flagship segment. The 2 stereo speakers on both, super nice. I'm pretty sure they will sound top. Actually, pretty much, I guess, the best of all flagships, because I don't know of any current flagship that has proper front-facing stereo speakers. So this is great. Now, performance, Snapdragon 835 and all that will be on a flagship level. It will be on a top-notch level. Do I think it will be any better than something like an Xperia XZ Premium, an HTC U11, a OnePlus 5, or a Mi 6, or a Mi Mix 2? No, I don't think so, because there is not enough potential. All of those phones are already super nice, optimized. And just having stock Android won't really improve it any further, because something like the Nokia 8 runs stock Android as well, and it runs perfect, pretty much. And I don't expect the Pixel to run any better. So performance super top, but you can get the exact same performance already for noticeably less. Battery life, who knows? I think on the normal one, if it's 2700, it will be good. Maybe even very good, who knows? Because it is efficient. If they got rid of the standby drain, it should be totally fine with a 5-inch OLED display, which is very efficient and all that. I don't have really any bigger doubts. The big one actually could be great, absolutely, because of the size, because it is about actually a little bit bigger than on the Mix 2 with the same screen, but OLED, which is more efficient, Android, which should be, stock Android, which is a little bit more efficient, so it should be maybe even great plus. So definitely one of the best flagships in terms of battery life, which is great. Now, software, that's something you have to know. Most people will praise it for the AI, for the great camera software with all those extra features and so on, with stock Android itself, the fastest security updates, the fastest updates, patches and everything. If that's fine, yeah. Not impressive for me, but it gets the job done, especially since it is a Pixel. Custom ROM support will be off the charts, so even if I wouldn't like stock so much, there is no issue to get something better, in my opinion. Camera, that is the huge highlight, of course, because actually I have to say one thing, the portrait mode, which is software based with only one cam, to me, and I maybe seem to be the only one, is way weaker in terms of the effect, in terms of background blur than on any other phone. I've talked about that with one person and he said, yeah, it's the same. And I thought, since it's software based, it wouldn't be a huge issue to make a slider to exaggerate that blur. And he said, yeah, it's possible. I kind of don't think it will happen. I think maybe with a custom ROM or some modifications it will. But I found it to be a little bit too soft. It worked really great because due to the AI and Google's knowledge, I think they will have the most consistent, the best working blur. It won't be maybe as spectacular because it just didn't differentiate enough the background and the foreground. And maybe you can, with making it better or better, you can improve that, but it's not quite that important, but impressive. But the camera, from the few shots that I did and from what I've seen others doing and the samples that were on the phones from other people's already doing, looked impressive. And I'm not gonna deny that I'm pretty sure, since I'm already a huge fan of the Pixel camera from the original Pixel, that I think it actually, despite not really giving a damn about the DxO mark, it will be the best camera. At least it will be my most favorite one, because maybe the pro features, the manual modes, won't be that great like on a V30 or on a S8 or something other, but it will be the easiest to access camera software and camera itself, where you will get the best pics, the best video with EIS and OIS in tandem with the least effort. And I think it will be the most satisfying camera for me. I can't judge it yet properly, but I have actually no doubts. I think it will be the cam that I would enjoy the most, that I would like to use the most. Now the problem though is that worth so much? And I have to say, if I actually will be able to get a review on it, what I will do is of course give it a fair chance. Because what I do in my detailed part is not judge based on the price. The whole thing up to the summary and then to the conclusion is completely price neutral. So if it gets, for example, already I can tell you design wise it won't get any high ratings. It will get maybe a good in-end feel is top, even though just too big, and quality will be also very good. And I will give it a great display, pretty much a great sound, I think so. Okay, lack of the headphone jack is a bummer for a lot of people. I totally get that. Performance, it will be great, flagship level. The battery life could actually be above great. The software will be great. The camera will be great. So this is actually usually what I like to talk about, the most complete phone. It sounds like that this time actually, if the design isn't important, and then at the end, at the conclusion, the price comes in for me. And just because of that, I won't give it a recommendation, with at least the asterisk of saying, if you put the most effort into the cam, and if you want the very best, and if you don't care at all about the price, if you will maybe subsidize it, or if you are just crazy rich, or if you just need the best, I think this will actually be it. But for every normal person who is price conscious, price aware, who value is more important, you can get a very close experience to that for like half the price. With, for example, something like the Mix 2. The Mix 2 feels better in the hand. The display is definitely not on the level of an XL. The speaker isn't quite. But performance-wise it is. I don't think battery-wise it will be far off. Software is a completely different thing. And of course the camera. But is that worth about $500 more? That's where at least I'm quite sure that it's not. For everyone else who wants long updates, the best updates, the fastest updates, the best camera and everything, I think this actually will be the camera. And now actually my rant turned into a praise, because I think it will be a fantastic phone. I personally can't get quite over the design. I absolutely can't, especially on the small one. It was super nice in hand, because due to 5 inches with huge bezels, it actually feels like a nice and compact phone. But when I look at those bezels, it is a huge turnoff for me. The same goes also for the 6-inch XL. So if you don't give a damn about really compact design, a really beautiful aesthetics and so on, a premium feel especially, and you want the pretty much best in every category, or very close to the best, yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. I don't want to stretch it any further, because this is just my first impressions and all, and I'm already giving it more time than in a review. But I think these things had to be said, because what I've seen on the event were people not caring at all. Everyone just checked the camera, tried to get their hands-on video done, but that didn't really... Okay, you don't really have to check the performance. It's a given the performance will be great. Battery life you can judge on these events. Anyways, the speakers you couldn't really check. The cameras I would say also not, because the event was quite bad lit and the lighting was really just not good. And pretty much all that I could check is the design. Things like the display and the price I just have in head, which I can't get out of it. So, I don't know. I was disappointed in overall. Just design-wise, I would have expected more for this price, because you can get... I think actually you can't get away with that anymore, because everyone complains about the boring design of the iPhone 8 and then about the high prices, but I think actually value-wise and design-wise, the Pixels are even worse. Maybe that's just me. Like I said, if I get a chance to review it, I think I will give it a lot of praise. And last year I said it was one of those great phones that completely left me cold. I actually think this Pixel would not leave me cold, because, like I said, it feels great in hand, and display, speaker, all the important parts for me are great. And then you have something that is not so important for me, the pretty much best camera. I think it will be the best one. So it won't leave me cold. I would really like to have one. Absolutely, and I would enjoy the hell out of it. Once maybe after a while I get used to the design, which would for me be the hardest part. But I guess that's not an issue for most people, so I think I need a few more days to actually maybe digest things, and then I definitely need a proper hands-on to maybe change my mind. Especially I think I need just the daily use experience, because maybe there are some aspects, maybe at some point you don't really care so much, because it was the thing, and I have to just admit that. The Xiaomi Mi Mix 2, I said that the bezels are huge and all that, and my review said I got used to it after a few days, and the same thing would pretty much be also the case on the XL. Maybe I would need a little bit more time, because the bezels are also bigger, at least it feels bigger. But it costs a lot more than the Mix 2, so it's a little bit harder to forgive that point. But that's it. I would say, yeah, that's my opinion. Let me know your opinion. If I was too hard, let me know. Thumbs downs, I expect quite a lot still, even though I definitely do acknowledge all the good parts, but that's it. Okay, until next time.